This is DeLon Canterbury. DeLon, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm great. Happy Friday. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. You are in sunny, warm South Carolina.
North Carolina. North
North,
Carolina.
north. Okay, well, at least it's maybe sunny. It's not as warm as South Carolina, but
Yeah, but it's beautiful out, man. It's a perfect day. Sky blue. You wouldn't think it was winter right now.
thank you for rubbing it in. I'm in Chicago, and it's overcast. Well, yesterday was like 50 degrees. We thought
Oh,
that
wow.
was amazing,
Hmm.
and today is supposed to snow. So
Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know how
no
you did.
problem. Absolutely no problem. And before we start, first of all, I want to say congratulations and thank you for accepting the nomination for Person Behind the Passion, who you were nominated by David Chametzky,
Yeah.
who you guys have met, what, online or what?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, we were a part of a mastermind group, and he kind of just became a big brother. He really loves to help people thrive. And he's just so selfless. So, in being in this group, he's just hit me up as an aside to just see how I can best support him and each other. And honestly, he's just been there since day one. So, kudos to Dave. He is such a dope, awesome person, man. Just been there since day one. Honestly, a stranger, but just he'll give you the show off his back in a second.
Well, we'll call him Strange for sure. Now he's probably watching. He's going to go like, I'm going to get that guy back. No,
He'll get
David's
you.
amazing.
Man, he will get you
He
back.
has crawled himself out of a hole, and he's doing amazing things right now, supporting people. And I just want to say to David, thank you, dude, for nominating all the nominations that he's done. I mean, that's one of the cool things about this show. Is called Person Behind the Passion. That
Right.
when people are done being interviewed, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this whole thing kind of started, and then they get to pay it forward. So this is your assignment: is after we get done with the interview, you then get to nominate 1, 2, 10, as many people as you want
Okay.
for a person behind the passion. The only one criteria is they have to be deserving,
True. True. True.
right?
Yeah, we don't want any fake people in here trying to con us. We don't want anybody not legit. We want authenticity and integrity. So I'm
That's
there.
right. Absolutely. So those of you who are watching for the first time, or you don't know what the Self Achievement Network is, basically we're a Facebook group. Okay. Is a group on LinkedIn. There's Instagram stuff, and there's several other places that I post content to. But we're primarily a Facebook group, and then we are a bunch of hubs. Okay, so the main group is where all of our members sort of convene, and then we have genre specific hubs, like a spoke of a wheel, where
Mhm.
people can then go and talk more about their passion, evolve their passion. So we've got 14 groups: parenting group, a marketing group, music group, sales group, leadership group. I mean, there's many of them. My group is called Life Plan. I used to be a life coach, if you will, a life guide. I'm doing
Mhm.
lots of seminars in the world, and had a back injury, and I kind of got grounded to my couch, and now I'm online. And so that's the gist of the network. And we're an opportunity for people to either discover, share, or evolve their passion. So this is what DeLon is going to do. DeLon, right? DeLon or DeLon?
DeLon, you got it right. Yep.
DeLon. Okay. Sometimes I just totally destroy people's names.
So no worries, no judgment here.
That's cool. So you're in North Carolina. I mean, yeah, North Carolina, and when I heard the passion, I was like, that's cool. This is something that people can really like. They really need someone that they can trust to talk about this whole healthcare thing, which sometimes gets so convoluted. And who do you trust? Because you can't watch mainstream media and so you're about protecting families, which I think is like the key thing, from overpriced healthcare systems. What does that mean?
Man, great question. It's hard to say, but as convoluted as healthcare is, we all know that it is terribly expensive and terribly to the disadvantage to all of our patients. I work and trained as a pharmacist, but as a pharmacist, you really get to see how these drug prices are affecting outcomes, people's lives, people's
Right.
livelihood, whether they eat or take their meds. And, I got really frustrated seeing it year after year of just these expensive, ridiculous copays uncontrolled. So what I ventured to do with my company, Geriatrics, was stop this madness. Let's get the cheapest possible effective regimen to really help families get off of unnecessary medications. And if it is necessary, let's get someone else to pay for it, not you. We have billions of dollars going into this industry, so why not use the resources around us to help you get the care you need and not
Mhm.
spend an arm and a leg?
Interesting. So, so you have a company called Jerry. What is it again?
Geriatrics, yeah.
Geriatrics. Okay.
Play on the word geriatric, but it ends with RX to kind of emphasize the pharmacy piece.
Geriatrics RX. Okay, I got it. Okay, so you're a pharmacist by education and by trade.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you're a drug dealer.
I'm a legal drug dealer, and I'm good at it. Yeah, I went to the University of North Carolina, finished up in 2014, and since then, I've just been peddling pills and trying to save lives as much as I can.
Yeah. Yeah, I went through this phase where it was like pills, pills. No, I don't want anybody to do pills. But I realize now I'm 62 years old that they're really necessary, and there's a lot of really good that can come of pills.
Yeah.
I had a doctor a long time ago say, the body is a chemical reaction. I was
Mm.
just like, huh? And the truth is, I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at the body, and I'm sure you know a lot more about it than I do, but that is one way to look at it. That is a chemical reaction, right?
Right. Yes, everything, even what you eat, is a chemical reaction. They all have an interplay holistically. Every medication is a foreign body. So the body has to figure out, one, how to break it down, how to send it to the right place if it needs to be sent, and then how to clear it out so it's not in there forever poisoning you. So
Mhm.
everything is a reaction. What you eat, what you take in, even emotional stimulus like love can cause emotional, physical reactions in the body. So it's a
Mhm.
great analogy. They're all reactions going on. And
Wow.
those can either be super harmful or super helpful for you.
Well, I can imagine. I mean, because if I eat a carrot, right,
Yeah.
that's that's a chemical. That's going to cause a chemical reaction. The acid in my stomach is going to mix it. I mean, I don't know all the details, but it's going to do its thing, break it down, and then it's going to send it to wherever it needs to, and yeah,
Right.
to keep
Right.
it to keep it healthy.
Right. Just like how we kind of had the old adage with eating carrots can help with your vision. That's true. It has beta carotene in there, which ends up changing up and goes into vitamin A. And vitamin A is vital for your vision health. So, great one right there.
Wow. I mean, this topic could be talked about for weeks.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And I'm sure you're probably a geek, right? One of those,
Oh, yes. Like, I
and you love it. I can
love,
I can tell.
oh, man. I love the mechanisms. I love knowing how it works in the body. I love knowing the side effects. I love everything about the receptors down to how it's excreted. Like, that's
Oh
the
my God, I love this.
pharmacists love and we kind of thrive off of. And that's our specialty. Not everyone has that.
Don't freeze.
We're the ones who are the experts in drug medication. So why not use more of us in how we prescribe?
Yeah. So, how in the world did you get interested in doing this? This is like, I mean, I was like an electronic geek, right?
Right.
You got into this. Where? Tell us the story. Once upon a time.
Oh man, once upon a time, I was, in the middle of college at Emory University in Atlanta. And unfortunately, my grandmother started to decline. She was suffering from Parkinson's, dementia related issues. And we had to ship her from New York, where we're all pretty much originally from, down to Atlanta, back into our parents' home while we were all the kids were in college. And, when she came home, she just declined rapidly. And we're talking about walking out in the middle of the street at night, like waking the parents up, ringing the doorbell, wondering where she is. I mean, completely out of it. And my parents are here trying to wrap their heads around this and don't know what the issue is. They don't know why it's happening. It went on for months, Dominic. It went on for months until one fateful day, this pharmacist saw that she was on a medication that completely caused everything to go south with her conditions.
Hmm.
He fought for our family, and she advocated against the doctor and asked him to please just stop this medication. She got better within a few weeks after doing that. And honestly, that struck a chord with me and my path, because fast forward to the day when I start working in retail pharmacy, I'm seeing the same thing. And it's particularly done to our most vulnerable population, and they are
Hmm.
the elderly. Those are the ones who get, one, statistically, the most medications, the most sensitivity to all side effects because their bodies are different, they change. And unfortunately, they get taxed and have the highest healthcare expenses within the country. So
Hmm.
I started this company to try to figure out how to, one, advocate for these patients, two, get them off of unnecessary medications, and three, make sure they're cost effective and not giving them an arm and a leg just to take it. So that really hit home with me. And in working in a retail setting at Walgreens, I was a pharmacy manager in Henderson, North Carolina, very rural. That was a very a higher senior citizen population. And I
Hmm.
honestly, coming out of school, I had no idea about geriatric care. I didn't know really anything about the way their bodies are so different. It's almost as if you're a child again when you become older when it comes to medications. You got to go lower with the dose,
Yeah.
low and titrate up, and
Hmm.
side effect is an issue. And I kept seeing so many prescription errors day to day. I would see so many duplicate therapies, unnecessary treatments, inappropriate antibiotics, um, contraindicated, which means you should never do this because the FDA says you never do it.
Hmm.
You know, it still happens at your pharmacy. So it was alarming that here I am trying to advocate for these people and document everything. And of course, save lives when I can. But why is the system set up for people to fail? It shouldn't be this way. And
Right.
that's why geriatrics to really help navigate the healthcare system, which is a nightmare, and get them the best care we possibly can.
Hmm. Wow. Whew.
Yeah.
So grandma, it was grandma.
It was grandma. It started with grandma, Mildred Brotherson. Um, my mom's mom. Yes, it started with her, and it honestly blossomed to the fire I have today because I'm just so tired of seeing my grandma and my patients.
Yeah. And I can relate. I mean, my mom's in a nursing home. Yeah, she's well into her dementia, you know, and it's sad. I mean, it really is sad, but it happens. But then there's so many other things. Let me ask you a quick question, and then I have some other. I want to go back in time a little bit. What do you, in your observation, in your
Mm,
experience,
yeah.
how much of the illnesses are preventable? Is there a way to put a percentage on that? Like, I mean, we all know that our big responsibility is to take care of this dude right here, right?
For sure.
And when we don't control do we really have over our the fate of our health?
It's a multifaceted question. It's multi-layered. And I think the problem we have in our culture as an American society is to appreciate that we can prevent a lot of these diseases from taking care of our bodies, from listening to what our bodies are saying. Don't get me wrong, there are times you just got a bad deal, and it is what it is based on your genes, based on
Mhm.
your environment. You can't always control that. But the problem I see is that we don't put enough resources into actually closing those barriers that are preventable, like the access components here for people who may be minorities or people who are elderly or people with health literacy barriers. A lot of those issues, those little pieces, all add up to the problem of things that could have been prevented. Okay. I
Yeah.
mean, one of my colleagues, for instance, right? This is a simple pharmacist solution, right? But here's what happened. She had a hip replacement. And because of that, she had some ongoing pain. This is one of my colleagues, good friend of mine, good mentor. But her mother-in-law, unfortunately, was taking this pain med after her hip surgery for years, was taking something called BC Goodies powder. It's like a little powder you could put in some water, and it's a high dose of like anti-inflammatory stuff like ibuprofen, aspirin, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Took that for the pain. It worked well. Okay. But the problem is she was then told to take aspirin because she had a heart condition, which, we all know is pretty standard. Everyone kind of takes aspirin for heart preventative effects. Cool.
Sure.
The issue is she was taking that in combination with the BC's Goodies powder. And she was taking that for a couple of months. Dominic, when I tell you this woman was so dehydrated, she was put into the ICU. She suffered from what was called pretty much aspirin toxicity. She was severely dehydrated. She nearly had a stroke. And this was all because a pharmacist did not do a full medication review with them.
Wow.
And it could have been completely avoidable. This is a literal $5 purchase that led to damn near a $10,000 expense right before Thanksgiving. But the whole family had to go to the ICU and watch her hopefully come back. Critical care.
Right.
So that's an expensive bill that is clearly sub-therapeutic, as in you didn't meet your therapeutic goals, because now she's in the hospital. In the middle of COVID, now she's at risk of having hospital concerns. And guess what happened? She did get a hospital infection. She did acquire, but now she has, which is a very rare but very almost dangerous infection. And we had to now go through another course of antibiotics and treatments. And the problem is we didn't have someone work with the prescriber to talk to her about the medications. That is why I started this company. That is
so you're able to, I mean, how does the process work with what you do? You actually do the interviews? I mean, explain that a little bit.
Sure. So
Geriatric
we do. Exactly. We actually partner with families and we partner with providers. So when people come to us, we do a complete medication review, or we could be referred by their provider. We work with the physician's office. We go through all of the meds accurately, and then we convey any issues and drug interactions or dangerous side effects or concerning medications to the doctor. So now, not only are we teaching and advocating for the patient, but we're giving them the tools to use when they go to that next office visit. And then to go further, we still call the doctor and say, hey, look, this is what we talked about. So that way we're closing the gaps on what issues may have arisen. And then, of course, we're also additionally empowering our patients to know how to push back and learn more about their healthcare.
Yeah. And I think that's another key word, empower, right?
Yeah.
Because people, they innately want to have control over their, everything, their life, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you're supporting them. Wow. Awesome. Let me high five you, man. That's
hey, boom. There with it, man. Oh, we can't touch, so I'll use my elbow, COVID time.
okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such an honorable thing to do, really. And it's so needed. I can't even imagine. And we hear the stories, of how, somebody's medication got screwed up and how easy it is. And back to the whole chemical factory thing. I mean, yeah, when you start, I mean, when I was a kid, it's like you don't put Drano and then you don't mix this one from underneath the cabinet because, kids go underneath there and then all of a sudden there's an explosion or there's some kind of toxic fumes coming in the air and the kids die. And like, what happened? Well, I didn't lock the kids were doing a chemistry experiment and
Yeah.
And that happens inside here, which is a bigger problem.
Yeah. So it's not always like something you're going to feel, you're not always going to see the symptoms until unfortunately you end up in the ER and you're wondering why your numbers are all out of whack. And this is the value that pharmacists have. It's kind of like our best kept secret. I feel we're one of the most trusted health professionals, but we're also one of the most underutilized resources in the entire healthcare industry. And it makes no sense because we have a track record of reducing healthcare costs while improving care. So got to change the way our healthcare system works. I'm tired and fed up with it, and that's why I started to make this change.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, trying, man. I
From
love
you know,
it.
from me and another 7.8 billion people on the planet. Thank you very much for doing. It's intense. I mean, it's intense, and I can't even imagine, especially when it's already happened, and you think about that it could have been prevented, and then this is why all those lawsuits and everything, and people just don't know. So what you're doing is huge. I mean, it's a huge service,
Yes. Yeah.
to humanity. So, okay, so let's go back in time. This is person behind the passion. So we want to get to know who you are. Where you're in Durham, North Carolina right now, but that's where you live and reside and you're working. But where'd you grow up? You mentioned Atlanta or no?
Yeah. So bit all over the map. So my entire family is from the Caribbean. They are from Guyana, South America. And as pretty much a firstborn immigrant son or parents of immigrants, they first moved to New York when they came to our country for the pursuit of freedom and a better family. And they gave birth to 3 beautiful kids. So we all had humble beginnings in Brooklyn, New York, Flatbush, Brooklyn.
Okay. Where's
So
you have no accent. I mean,
I have no accent because I grew up in Atlanta.
okay.
So I moved when I was about 8 with my brother Devon and Dacia and my parents Stanley and Sandra. They moved because we moved in the 80s in the roaring crack epidemic, and there was no way that we're gonna have 3 kids raised next to crack shells in a park. So we moved to the rural suburbia of Atlanta and basically grew up there. And I've stayed there for most of my life. Graduated, went to Emory, and came to North Carolina for pharmacy school after taking a year off. And I came here in 2010, and I fell in love with the state. So I've been here since. Right in Durham, North Carolina.
So you're a born and then a born. I mean, you're a Georgia peach.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, sir.
Well, you got to be known for something, right?
Yeah. Not right now, but that's
Yeah.
another.
Right. So what do you do for fun? I mean, you're there. You're hanging out. You're married. You got kids. I mean, what's the overall situation?
Yeah, sure. So not married just yet, no kids. Beautiful girlfriend, Deanna Davis. She is a social worker by trade, and she works at UNC right now. So
Cool.
we'll actually be hitting our 3rd anniversary in February. But for fun, I have a little black lab dog mixed, and I adopted her. One of my technicians from Henderson, my first store, I actually found this dog in the middle of the street. So I named her Kaya. She's my little baby, about 5, 6 years old, little black pup. So she's one of my hobbies. But honestly, I'm an avid video gamer. I love video games. I love Call of Duty. I love God of War. That's kind of how stress. But really for fun, one of my biggest hobbies now has been picking up the cello. I used to play the bass in orchestra for I don't know, 8 years from middle school to, high school. And seeing the cello, actually, after all that time, I realized, I actually love how this sounds a little bit more than the bass. So I've been playing the cello for the last 2 years.
Really?
Mhm.
So that's the smaller version of the big bass.
Yes,
Yeah, the cello.
exactly. Yeah, not the handheld one, but one that's still, you kind of sit down and you just play it right here. It kind of hits on your chest. Where the bass, you have to stand up and actually
Right.
play it.
Right. Wow. Well, how did you get interested in that? I mean,
You know,
you just picked it up.
so it wasn't necessarily hard because I was already in orchestra and I knew the string instruments pretty well.
Yeah.
But the cello has such a soulful sound to it. Like every solo, I would almost want to hear the cello person to do it versus like a violin or the bass. The bass is, it's cool, it's jazz, it's smooth. The viola and violin are great, but I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4". My hands is like a whole violin. So I can't feel it.
6'4".
I couldn't do all of that with the violin. So the cello is the perfect balance of sitting down upright, being very portable, and the sound of it is just soulful. Um, I love classical music, so just honestly, uh, it just yeah. Even playing, I was like, damn, I wish I could play the cello like that. I just wanted to play it, so I've always had an interest in. My mom actually gifted me a cello for my 30th birthday.
Really?
She surprised me. She had it handmade in Georgia, and she brought it up here to North Carolina for my 30th. And literally in this very room, she had me hold my hands out, and she gave me a cello, and I almost cried. I mean, it was like something I was
Oh
talking
my,
about.
handmade.
And it made my day. So it was, yeah, I play that bad boy. I love it.
Wow. So, I mean, you just, I don't know. I mean, you have a group of people that you play with, or you just, like
Nah,
now
I
you're probably social, whatever.
Yeah, I kind of do like some self-teaching methods and scales or whatever. But I haven't, I mean, I don't know if I'm there yet, but it's definitely on the goal for me to kind of be a part of an ensemble or orchestra around here in Durham
Yeah.
and thriving music scene. So I would love to be a part of some of the chamber orchestras here.
So did you play in high school?
hmm I
Okay,
play
so that's
bass.
where.
So I
Okay.
played bass literally since sixth grade. From sixth
Okay.
grade to 12th grade, and I was in chamber orchestra, honors orchestra. Like I was in two different orchestras, like in high school, and
Gotcha.
I loved it. But it didn't get the feel of the cello that I thrived. So
Right.
yeah,
Right. I mean, I think that's such a great thing. Two of my kids were in band in high school. One was in, the orchestra, and the one was in band, and one learned the
which one?
whichever what it was, and then they
Yeah.
excuse me, and then now both my son, two of them can play guitar, bass, you name it. My son can pick up darn near any instrument.
Oh
I've got
wow.
keyboards over here, and he'll sit there and plunk on it. Next thing you know, song comes out, and
Yeah, I was always
because of
envy.
that experience in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, I always envied that trait when I was in school. I was like, dang, how do you get it so quickly? Um, but no, it's definitely an art to have that skill set to just pick something up and learn it and be awesome at it. So
Sure.
yeah.
So you're like you play when these people are like, let's turn on the radio. You turn on classical, or you? I'm
Um,
sure you're diverse,
Late
but it's
man, unfortunately, I kind of have a guilty addiction to the news. So it's all been COVID updates and following vaccine trials and getting the latest news on things. So normally I'm listening to hip hop, rap, electronica. I like techno. I like house music. I especially love house music when I'm studying or reading. Um, and usually a lot of house music can kind of incorporate string samples, so I get a little bit
yeah,
out of it there.
right.
But if I'm studying, like for an exam, I'm probably gonna listen to classical music. hmm
It's interesting because when I was younger, we used to do this workshops and seminars and stuff, and we had these kids that were well, we would have them get together in groups around, and they'd sit on the floor, and then we gave them this big giant piece of paper, probably like 4 foot by 3 foot, and
hmm
then colored chalk. They would
hmm
turn on the classical music and let them draw anything that they wanted to, and OMG, these photos or pictures would emerge from their brains. It was just like, I mean, they were weird looking things, but it was just amazing to watch that. And I was always heard that the classical music is kind of like people, it was like music for intellectuals. I don't
Yeah,
know if that's
I
true.
either I don't know either, but there is some science in using music therapy to help Alzheimer's patients and Parkinson's patients recover. And they stimulate certain parts of the brain and neurons. I couldn't even get into it if I wanted, but I know that there are studies that are actually trying to integrate music into rehabilitative therapies. So
Yeah,
I know there is evidence. I don't know the exact science behind it.
yeah. Well, music is amazing, you know.
Yes.
It truly is amazing, and I know that I mean I know I don't play an instrument, I plunk, but I don't hear what people hear that play. I know that for sure, and the mathematics involved in it, and you probably don't even. I mean, in the beginning when you're learning music, it's a lot of mathematics, right?
Hmm.
Octaves and
Yes, knowing the beats per measure, understanding signatures, scales. We use like an 8 note chord system in our society. There's like a 7 one, I think, in the Eastern, like European countries. But yes, there is a good bit of math, understanding rhythm. It's mixing math and rhythm. So yeah, and knowing how to count the beats and rest measures. Yeah. So yeah, at first it's definitely difficult because you're learning a new language,
right.
two, understanding, fingering while you're doing it. Then you're learning intonation as you're holding your hand. Like if you put your pinky like a centimeter further, you're sharp versus flat. And yeah,
Hmm.
there's definitely math in it. So yeah, for sure.
So you do it all, man. You're like multifaceted. So what about traveling? I mean, do you enjoy traveling? Have
Oh,
you traveled?
and so I had the distinct pleasure to have an amazing mom who invested in having all of her kids be well traveled. So we, especially since we've had a Caribbean background, we came from a third world country. She wanted us to know where the hell she came from and how they struggled to get here. So we have family interspersed all over England, the Caribbean, Canada, you name it. We pretty much have family there. So
Hmm.
at a young age, we were globetrotting. My dad's an accountant, and we were not balling, I'll tell you that. But if any bit of money went somewhere, it was for her kids to travel. So we
Yeah.
were beyond measure to go on so many cruises. Like, I mean, as an 11,
Really?
old, having international experiences, having a passport at like 12. It was probably the
Wow.
thing she did for us, and it kept us grounded in our in the perspective of things and appreciating what you have. And so we've man, I mean, we've done so many cruises I can't even count. So it's been definitely a blessing. But yes, traveling is one of my second passions. Apart from eating like a fatty, it's traveling probably. Yeah,
Like a fan.
they're probably not neck, to be honest.
So you can cook.
I can cook. I can cook. I love cooking. Oh yeah, cooking's therapeutic for me too.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you can definitely ask my girlfriend about that. So I throw down. Hmm.
You throw down.
Throw down in the kitchen. Oh yeah,
Throw down. That's right.
yeah,
So you guys, yeah. So you guys do a lot of cooking together.
yeah. Actually, we were supposed to make some braised short ribs tonight, so that's on the menu later on. So hoping that
So
still
will
happens.
you do that in a braised short rib? So is that an oven thing or is that an outdoor
Yeah,
thing?
apparently, we need to get a Dutch oven, so I'm gonna have to ask my friend for a Dutch oven that I know has it to help make it. I've never heard of a Dutch oven until like this week when we were talking about it. So I still need to investigate that component. But yeah, cooking is amazing. I'm really a big fan of the air fryer right now. It's crazy how as kids you're like, oh, I love the next video game. Now like the next thing we love is like the newest air fryer. And that air fryer I have is game changing, man. I love it.
That's
Ooh,
fun.
I bought a dumpling, the bamboo steamers that you could put your dumplings like in a little bamboo like kind of case, and you just steam it over some boiling water. So I got that recently too to start
Really?
my Asian cuisine. Hmm.
Wow. Well, I'm on a this whole thing with the functional medicine and with the gut health and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
You could probably talk about that too. I mean, I didn't know much about it. My wife was like, "Sweetheart, I think we need to go see a functional medicine doctor. You're talking about this thing over here and all that. You're not like, I'm like, what's that?" She goes, "Don't worry about it. Just follow me." So we
So
spent 3 hours with the functional medicine doctor. And next thing I know, we're on this like thing, no anti-inflammatory foods, nothing. And I'm just like, no coffee, no alcohol, no nothing. I'm just like, how long does this last?
Yeah.
So I'm on that journey right now. But yeah, so
That's actually kind of a cutting edge right now. More, and this is actually something that a lot of pharmacists are starting to look into. They're starting to get more in tune to the holistic approach, and functional medicine is really breaking through to really make some strides and changes in people's health and well-being. They look at the body outside of just the drugs. They look at what your body might be lacking. So instead of just using the drug first, let's look at what's missing now. And what they
mm,
do is they run all these tests and they try to figure out, okay, do you have low, enzymes of this, or do you have enough nutrients for this, or vitamins for that, or are you getting enough whatever to help? And they all can provide actionable steps, like you mentioned, with food and diet to actually supplant those issues or improve some of those deficiencies without having to jump always to a medication first. And in fact, you'll find that sometimes when you stick to medications first, it can deplete some of those essential nutrients, which can worsen the condition. Uh,
mhm.
Functional medicine is extremely cutting edge. It's becoming the new wave of healthcare, and it's becoming a part of what's called precision medicine, where people are getting more individualized approaches and not just, well, we've done this for 20 years, so let's throw you on this and let's see how it goes. And it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that won't work. It just means it's a little more in tune to what your body's doing.
Hmm. Yeah, I, I didn't get the blood test and all that stuff done first. So
Mhm.
I did like the elimination part, alcohol, coffee, the big stuff, and then now it's more of a fine tuning thing. So our, quinoa and things like this, and so that's being refined. So now I've got the blood test is the kit is coming. I got to go get the thing done, and so that's the next step is to kind of look at the
Mhm.
numbers and everything to see what's happening. I'm excited about it. I mean, I heard about it for a long time, and I've actually interviewed people who were functional medicine doctors,
Nice.
and they can talk for hours about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for that reaffirmation of
Hmm.
that.
I'm giving it too. I'm not as well versed as it could be yet, but this is something that I do aspire to have my company incorporate down the road for sure.
Yeah. Where do you see your company going in the next couple of years? I mean, what's you have a big vision like, here's where I'm going.
Absolutely. So I plan on being nationally recognized. I plan on having pharmacists in each state that work with geriatrics. I also plan on incorporating social workers and patient access navigators in the next 5 years so that we can literally solve any access barrier problems for people across the board. But how I really see myself is really monetizing and capitalizing in the digital space. Like this is really all done through telehealth. So this is a service that people can use all through at the comfort of their home and still get awesome care. So this is a new wave of having a pharmacist use telehealth and consulting combined to on a national level. And I
Hmm.
see that being, and this is how I kind of describe myself as like the Clark Howard of medications, like the guy who helps people save a bunch of money on anything in life. We need
Hmm.
pharmacists are. That's our secret weapon. So really, I'm trying to work with doctors' offices. I'm trying to establish rapport with insurance companies so insurance companies can start seeing the benefit that we can provide.
Sure.
Um, I plan on eventually growing to partner with insurance companies as a value added service for their employees or, for anyone else who needs it.
Well, we are here to support you. I can see that this is a huge benefit. So, okay, so if you had a plane ticket, if I could give you a plane ticket, where would
Mm.
you go? I mean, round trip, where would you fly to?
Singapore right
Yeah?
now. I have been on a foodie binge because I'm getting cabin fever. So I've been looking at authentic like street food in Indonesia and the Philippines and Singapore, and the architecture in Singapore is mind blowing
I
and
know.
so small. They already speak English. Apparently, it's one of the best like food havens in the entire world. They have like the most secure food resources there. as well as amazing healthcare.
Yeah.
I want to go there. I just want to, I mean, they have like skyscrapers with gardens on the top, and I mean, it's so picturesque. So that's where I want to go, honestly, right now, and then, frankly, everywhere else once COVID's gone.
Dude, I'm gonna schedule it right now. Let's go.
Let's go. I know it's dirt cheap
Go.
too. I'll schedule it around
Man.
years, but yeah, that's where I would go now. But there's so many places to explore. Shoot, there's something I haven't really explored much of Eastern Europe or Europe really. I've only been to England, but I definitely want to go to the Louvre in France, Nice, the French Riviera. You know what I really wanted to do? I really wanted to do Yacht Week in Croatia. Like they have a yearly. It's kind of bougie and whatever. I don't care. You're on a boat and you're just pretty much partying with your good friends, and you just rent a boat out. And Croatia apparently is really beautiful in the summer. Haven't been. It's something I want to check out too.
Yeah, I've been. It's amazing.
Oh man, see,
Amazing. Also, go to Prague. Go to the
Yes,
Czech Republic.
that's a good one. My mom has been
You-
there. My mom. Oh, I didn't put this aside. And my mom still traveled more than all of her kids. Don't get it wrong. Like she just went to Iceland like last year. Like she does this all the time. She went to Antarctica a couple years ago. I mean,
Wow.
she does it. Like she does it. So she's kind of our role model in our traveling tastes.
I think that's one of the keys is like to make time and put it in the calendar to go and travel. I like you. I mean, I've been fortunate to have traveled a lot. And I
Mhm.
mean, that's a whole different thing. We could talk for hours about that. So, okay. I'll give you my final question. This is one of my favorite ones of all time. It's
Yeah.
let's just pretend. I mean, it's a self-achievement network. We're 3,000 people, right? Network group. But let's just pretend that every single person on the planet was sitting here right now watching this interview, right?
Yeah.
And you had the opportunity to speak to the entire population of planet Earth at one time. What would you like to say to humanity?
But this is not just from the scope of a pharmacist for my job. This is just me, DeLon, personal advice, like to the world, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Um, Contrary to belief, we are all different, but we are the same. And we must never forget that as a human being, your life isn't better than mine, or your life or your rights aren't, different from mine either. So I implore people to always see someone from where you want to be seen and try to respect differences in opinion, but know that we are all going through the same struggle. Okay. Classism, socialism, access, minority, ethnic differences. Yeah, that's all good on paper. But at the end of the day, if someone is struggling, help them. If someone, just needs support emotionally, help them. If someone, just needs a smile, do it. I implore people to understand that no matter where you come from, we are all human and we all should love each other. Point blank, period. Once we get down to that, we can really start seeing where the problems are and how we can help each other grow. Because I
Mhm.
truly believe that we as a human society can work towards a utopia, but we get mired by differences and labels and social norms and, oh well, you're different, so you're no, like human beings still had the same struggle, minus
Mhm.
association. But you gotta love each other. You just got to. And when you start seeing people from where people are, that's when you can have dialogues. That's when you can actually talk through barriers, talk through problems, talk through, you know, issues, and then realize you are more similar than you really think.
Mhm. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, bro.
Absolutely. Let's go back to the chemical reaction thing. Like I learned a long time ago, it's like with the planet is
Uh,
an organism. It's alive, right?
mhm.
The
Oh,
wind
yeah.
blows, the water moves, it washes itself, it cleans itself. We're part of that organism. And then we're also part of this one big, gigantic organism, whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
It's called universe.
Universe.
You
Yeah.
named it, right? And think about that word. That's a great word. Universe, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody had to come up with that word.
Yeah.
If you go to my favorite dictionary, which is the etymology dictionary, the root meaning of words,
Uh-huh.
where they come from and all that stuff. Have you ever looked up that word?
I,
Universe?
mm-mm.
How
Nope.
many words make up the word universe?
Well, 2 to me.
Two. Uni, verse. Uni
Mhm.
means what?
1.
One. Verse, where does that come from? And you know.
I mean, talk about talking, like all verse.
Well, like a verse from a song, like
Oh
music.
yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
One verse, one song. We're
Oh,
one
hmm,
song.
wow. Okay.
It's pretty
Wow.
cool, isn't it?
Actually, never thought. Yeah. Wow.
To your point.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense, right? Dang. It comes full circle, pun intended. I love it. That's great. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I never saw it that way at all. That's amazing. All right. Cool. Let's work
You're
towards that.
welcome. I had the same reaction when I had that aha, that epiphany. I was just like,
Yeah.
wow, that was great.
Man, I just truly believe, to be honest, if we were all fully embodying that mindset, it'd be a different world. Like it just because we're so smart as people, like we can figure out anything in the slum of the slums or to the rich of the rich. We can literally solve any problem if we want to, but we get more mired by our self-interest and self-preservation, and that's the problem. We get into this. Well, I did this, so it's mine. I'm not going to share. And I'm not necessarily a socialist or Marxist or something, but people throw that word around loosely, which I think is problematic anyway. But we got to see each other as people, man, and not just another enemy. And universe is a great way of embodying that message. Oh,
It is. It is. There's nothing, so we're all different, right?
mm-hmm.
And I was sitting one time in this seminar listening to this guy, and he's like, how many of you think that we're different? I mean, almost every single person in that room raised their hand. And he said, okay, so tell me one thing about you that's different from everybody else. So I was sitting there thinking about that, and I'm like, well, I grew up in Northwest Indiana. Most of the people here, they're from there, they're from here, they're from over there. And so then I raised my hand. I said, well, I grew up in this particular area with this particular family, with these particular brothers and sisters, and this particular, right? And he said, that's great. That's a great example, right? So then he asked the question, he says, how many of you grew up in a certain part of the world, certain area, certain neighborhood, with a certain family, with certain brothers and sisters, with a certain situation? Everybody raised their hand. He says, so what's different about that?
Different about that. Mhm.
How many of you have different color skin than everybody else?
Right.
Right. So what's different about that? There's nothing. It's
Yeah.
the same.
Now, I'm gonna steal that one. I love it. But it's so true. It's so true. And and unfortunately, that's what people take advantage of when it comes down to whether it's politicizing something or whether it's just creating discord or whether it's maybe making change like that. Sometimes is what's holding us back,
Right.
and we get out of that mindset. We do.
Exactly. I call people that I meet that don't have that understanding, that don't not like they're bad or I have judgments about that. I call them people of the veil, because it's like they can see through it, but they just can't quite get the veil down to see, wait a minute, we're all the same. That's
We
the reality. You can put it together any way that you want to, but the truth is we're all the same. We're all part of one organism.
mm-hmm,
It's that simple. Separate yourself from the organism. You can't.
mm-hmm,
You know what I mean? So anyway, it's all philosophical. We can take that up on a different topic on a different day. You're
Right.
amazing, man.
Hey, I'm trying, bro. I appreciate that. I'm just standing on the shoulders of giants, man. That's all it is. That's really all it is, you know?
That's what we do. That's exactly what we do. Wow. So anyway, okay. So promise me you'll come back. I would love to have you back. I would love. I mean, I love doing topic discussions. So we could like come up with a something about what you're doing,
Yeah.
and then we could thousands of things that we could talk about. Right. I'd be
Yes.
happy to have you back anytime. I'll even create a separate hub. But we got a health and fitness hub. But we can figure something out. You're just like you're so intriguing. What do you think, guys?
I'm game.
Wrong way.
I'm all for it, man. Let me know. I'm here to help support you and, of course, help people know how to really beat healthcare, man. Don't let it beat them. This is
Right.
It's too reactive. Our healthcare shouldn't be reactive. It should be proactive. We
Proactive.
got access there. We got to put the funding in the right places to prevent these issues from happening. So
Yeah,
let's do it. I'm game.
I'm all about it. Okay, great. Okay, and would you, when we're done here,
Hmm.
send me the links and I'll add them to this?
Yeah, sure.
Can reach out to you? I mean, do you have a website and what, I don't know what other social things that you have, but I would love to put that in there if somebody wants to know. And if any of the members or anybody out there watching this has a question, would you be willing to?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you can definitely email me. In fact, probably the easiest way to get in contact with me is to go to my website, geriatrics.org. That is GERIATR, X is in X-ray.org. You
Okay.
could subscribe. You'll get 10 tips on ways you could save money in healthcare the minute you subscribe, all for free.
Oh, cool.
Honestly, I'm here to help. So we're also, really popular on Facebook. We do Facebook Lives every day. We give tidbits on ways to kind of beat the system and learn some new ways that pharmacists can really help change healthcare. So follow us on Facebook. We're on Instagram, also at Geriatrics. We're on Facebook at Geriatrics as well. You can follow me at LinkedIn. I'm DeLon Canterbury. And if you want to just talk to me, you can always email me at info@geriatrics.com.
Okay. I like to put the links in because it's easier when you're scrolling after somebody's watching it, they can see it.
Yeah.
Boom, it's right there. So,
I will.
okay, I'll make sure that those get in there. And yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for being with me today. And thank you, David, for
Oh, yeah.
the nomination, because if it wasn't for him,
Here.
pay it
Exactly.
forward. So now that's your homework, man.
There you go. There you go. And thank you, Dominic, for hosting me, man. I hope you have a beautiful day. It's great here. And thank you all for listening and tuning in.
Okay. All right, we'll see you soon. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you watching and listening.